When we talk about volume and calculating volume with a formula, we're looking at two main ways to write that formula. So volume can be expressed as length times width times height, or we could say it as the area of the base. That's what that capital B stands for. Think base times height. Both of these formulas will give us the same volume. But when looking at area of the base, think about that B as being length times width. If you were to put those two, length and width, that multiplication problem in parentheses, they would equal the base. So length times width means that base, and we can multiply that times the height. So if you are given a rectangular prism, such as the one here, this question asks, what expression represents the volume of this prism as the product of its base area and height? That means the second formula here, area of the base times height. So we first want to find that area of the base. We want to do length times width. Looking at my prism, I see that the long side is 5 units and my wide is 2 units. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 2 to get the area of my base. I almost wrote the answer instead of the right problem. 5 times 2 gives me 10. So I'm going to write in here 10 as the area of my base times 4, which is my height. That would be the expression 10 times 4 that matches base times height. But sometimes we may have a missing side here. They may not tell us all three of those dimensions. But if we know the total volume, we can figure that out. Think about what we know about multiplication. Multiplication is commutative. We can rearrange the problem. Multiplication also is the inverse of division. So if we need to solve for a missing part of this volume formula, we can use some division skills to help us as well. Let's try that in this problem. A rectangular prism has a volume of 810 cubic meters. So I'm going to write down 810 as my volume and then see what other dimensions it gives me that I can put into my formula. The width of the prism is 6 meters. Okay, so I know that my width is 6 and the height is 9 meters. Okay, so times 9. What is the length of the prism? Well, I'm just going to put in an L here, cursive L, so it doesn't look like a 1. Length times 6 times 9 is going to equal 110. I can figure out the length by solving for this missing piece. I'm going to start with what I know. They gave me our width and our height. I can start to multiply these together. I know that 54 is the same as 9 times 6. So 54 times some length here is going to equal 810. So 54 times some number equals 810. That sounds like a division problem. If I do the inverse here, if I write this as 810 divided by 54, I can figure out the length. So let's jot that down. 810 divided by 54. My writing's getting extra small here. 54 can go into not 8, but 81 one time. Put my 1 up top. 1 times 54 is 54. I subtract. Do a little bit of borrowing here. Regroup. 11 minus 4 is 7. 7 minus 5 is 2. 270 will be the next piece here as I bring down my 0. 270 divided by 54. Well, sometimes when I get to these types of problems, I like to round them to nice friendly numbers. So I'm going to round 54 down to 50 because I can count by 50s. And I'm going to see how many times about would 50 go into 270. Well, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. Okay, so about 5 times. I'm going to try that. See if that is the number I'm looking for. 5 times 54. Maybe I need to jot that down to the side if I can't do that in my head. I know that 4 times 5 is 20. 25 plus 2 is 27. So that worked out perfectly. 5 times 54 is 270. I subtract, no remainder. So that tells me the length that was missing from my original problem here. My length is 15 meters. Put a little M for meters there. 15 meters would be my length.